Hi there, it's Nicole from Mama Elephant, and today I'm going to create a dimensional inlay greeting with the die from the So Many Snowmen die collection. Plus, I'm going to share both of these cards featuring the So Many Snowmen stamp set. This is a adorable stamp set. If you liked the cat version that Mama Elephant came out with a few months ago, you're going to love the snowmen. They are perfect for all kinds of holiday cards and absolutely adorable. For the first card I'm going to share, I've got a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch panel of smooth white cardstock. This is not a specialty cardstock. It's Neenah 110-pound weight cardstock. And I'm applying Salty Ocean and Faded Jeans Distress Oxide inks to the cardstock, gradually building up the color and giving a really nice coverage. I definitely want the color to be deeper and darker down near where the snowman border is going to go, and then gradually lighten, but not too much. I really want it to be a nice solid-ish blue, kind of an ombre blue, I guess I want to say. And I'll be distressing it to give it the illusion of falling snow. And then I will add some additional white Nuvo crystal drops on top of that when I'm all finished to really help seal in that feel of falling snow. But first I want to get a nice smooth transition of these two colors. I do not have to go all the way to the bottom of the panel since I'll be covering that up. I like to go over it again with my lighter color where the two colors meet just to get a nice seamless transition. I'm going to grab my Distress sprayer now and spritz this background with water from the Distress sprayer. It's going to give me a nice scattering of small and large droplets. Then I can set this aside to air dry. If you're in a hurry, you can always grab a heat tool and heat this if you want to speed up the drying process. I, however, am going to do quite a bit of coloring, so I just set it to the top of my desk and then pulled out another piece of smooth white cardstock and that large So Many Snowmen border so that I can start stamping my border and coloring this in. Now this is going to be a top fold card rather than a landscape or a side fold. So I'm not going to use the whole width of this. What I want to do is position the images to work for my card. So I tried not to really cut through the center of any of the snowman's face. I tried to center it as best I could on this 4 1/4 inch wide piece of cardstock. And then I'm going to simply ink up the So Many Snowmen border and stamp this with some jet black ink. And the great thing about the Misty is I can stamp this multiple times to get a really nice dark black outline. In fact, I did it 3 times. This is a large image. There's lots of areas to get stamped. I find that it really needs stamped more than once, 2 or 3 times, definitely. Then I am going to start coloring. I am going to speed through the coloring. It's a little bit of coloring. You could definitely choose to highlight maybe just one of the snowmen if you wanted to. I think that would be cute. I did try to keep my coloring fairly easy. I have broken down each of the areas that I've colored along the bottom of the screen, listing what I'm coloring, and then listing the Copic markers I used to color that. I didn't want to spend all day talking about the coloring, so like I mentioned, I did speed this up a lot. However, I did want to list those colors in case you wanted them for reference. This is a really, really fun image to color, just like the cats. I think this is just one of those that if you enjoy coloring, this is for you. There are lots of ways to do this. I have colored the snowmen more with a blue cast to them rather than the light warm gray that I'm doing here today. I definitely kept with the same color palette for both cards that I'm sharing as far as rainbow color accessories. There is pink, there is red, orange on the full panel card. I didn't really get a whole lot of orange other than the carrot noses for the card here. yellow, aqua, blue, and even a little purple. So I really tried to keep it really bright and colorful. That tends to be what I gravitate towards, especially recently. So I like to go ahead and kind of go with that, since that's what I'm feeling at the moment. And I really think it's fun to see all the rainbow colors with so much white on the card. The only difference between these two is that I'm going to die cut this panel, and I masked on the full panel of Snowmen. Otherwise, the coloring is very, very similar. I actually did the full panel of Snowmen while I was at a craft retreat with friends, and I did not have a video camera or anything. It was just one of those projects that I created for fun, and ended up coming home and thinking it would be great to incorporate into this video for my project here today, just to show you another option for using the Snowmen. And it's also another option if you don't want to do the coordinating dies, or maybe don't want to pick up the coordinating dies. This is very easily masked. It creates that look of a sheet of pattern paper almost. And I think that that's really cool and fun. You can customize it however you want. One of my friends had a great idea to kind of, instead of do the Where's Waldo, it's kind of the Where's Waldo Snowmen version. So add a red and white striped scarf to maybe one of the snowmen, and do all of the others in other crazy colors. I think that would be super fun. In fact, I started to do that, but he kind of got covered up. You'll see that at the end of the video with the greetings I put on top of the panel. Just a little more coloring here. Another tip that works especially well for me is I didn't exactly start in order, but I did try to do all the snowmen in the bottom row. Then I moved up to the middle row, and finally the top row. And that helps ensure that I don't miss any of the snowmen. With so much coloring, it can be kind of easy to miss little areas here and there. So for me, I find it easier to kind of work in order. Once I pick the snowman or image that I want to color first, then I can work my way out from there. The colorless blender doesn't really blend. It rather kind of moves ink around and softens some of those edges where maybe the warm gray was a little too harsh. Once this is all colored, I'm going to take the coordinating die, and I'm going to use a little Post-it tape to hold it in place while I run it through my die cutting machine. So I want to line that up with that top edge, use some Post-it tape to hold that down, and then run that through and pop it out. And I am left with this adorable little snowman border that I can adhere right to my background. So let's grab the background, and here's what it's going to look like. So cute. They really pop against a blue background. I am going to use the Let It Snow die that comes with the So Many Snowmen die collection. I did not realize until I had already colored my other panel and flipped over my packaging to see what dies were included, that in the dies, there's this Let It Snow greeting that isn't in the stamp set. I think that is phenomenal. It's a nice, substantial size greeting. It's scripty. It's fun. I really, really loved it. And it is what inspired this card design. Now I am going to add detail to my snowman images before I finish the sentiments on my card. I am using a white opaque pen and a Stardust glitter pen to add highlights, plaid designs, polka dots, details all over. And this is going to really dress up the snowmen and give them a really fun look. Then a black glaze pen is going to be used for the eyes to make those eyes really pop. And again, I'm kind of working in order so that I don't miss any of the snowmen. Holding that border in place, I'm going to grab my Misty now, and I want to stamp a sentiment that will fit underneath where the die cut greeting is going to go. And I'm using a greeting from the Peaceful Wishes stamp set that reads, "With warm and friendly wishes for a Merry Christmas and a bright and happy New Year." I stamped that with Versamark ink, sprinkled on some white embossing powder. I love how the white looks against the blue background, and it also picks up some of the white from the bottom half of the card and pulls it up, all of those snowmen, so that the top half of the card is definitely more minimalistic. So I wanted to just pull a little of that white up. Now that I have that stamped and embossed, I want to hold the Let It Snow greeting in place with a little bit of Post-it tape and run it through my die cutting machine. I've also pre-die cut a bunch of Let It Snow greetings from smooth white cardstock, 4 of these in fact, so that I can adhere those one on top of another to create the dimensional inlay. Now this is the background. It is attached to a white top fold card base. I laid down the background first. Then I popped in one of the white Let It Snow greetings, and then went ahead and placed all of the little blue inside pieces from like the loop and the L and the E, the T, all of that. I went ahead and adhered those. That's all flat to the card. So there's the inlay layer. Then I'm using a little Ranger multi-matte medium to draw over the scripty sentiment with a fine tip applicator. And I'm simply going to pop out all those little inside pieces. I don't want those to show. And stack the white sentiments one on top of another. There are going to be 4 layers of white greetings. And you can already tell it's starting to have that amazing dimension. And you don't want to forget the little dot for the eye. It's also important to note that when you do die cut the greeting from the background, you want to be really careful to keep all those little pieces, because that is what filled in all of those little loop areas for the inlay. You're going to finish with the die cut greeting from that background on top. I did go ahead and pop my snowman border in place, and then I had to do just a little trimming here. It overhang just a tiny bit, so I'm going to go ahead and do that real quick along the bottom and one side. And how cute is that? It's even really cute with the white greeting. So there is my blue greeting that I want to adhere right on top. Again, I'm going to draw a line of glue with the Ranger Multi-Matte Medium. I chose to use this as opposed to glossy accents because it will dry matte. So if a little of the glue comes out from underneath this layer, it's not going to be quite as noticeable since it will dry matte. And it looks like I had one more border or one more greeting in white to adhere before I adhere that final layer. And they fit together so well. Anything that's not sticking, I'm just going to add a little bit of glue there. Remove some of the glue that came out from underneath with my piercing tool. Once I have all 5 layers in place, I am going to put something heavy on top to really compress those layers together so that they lay nice and flat. I like to use an acrylic block to do this. It is something that I have handy, and it lays there really easily or really nicely, nice and flat, and I can let it sit for a few minutes and take it off, and everything is glued down and nice and flat. Want to make sure it's all lined up first. Finally, once that is all dry, I am going to finish the card with a scattering of Nuvo crystal drops in my absolute favorite. It's not even a color really, it's simply white. I love this. If you want white opaque enamel drop looking drops on your project, this is fantastic. And I'm creating a whole bunch of different sized drops all over to reinforce that feeling of falling snow. It reinforces the greeting that reads, "Let it snow," and I think that's really, really fun. Plus, you have that great dimensional inlay greeting that pops up, kind of comes out from the background. Now, this is that full panel of snowmen I'm talking about. I created 2 masks, starting with the bottom and working my way up. And then this is what it looks like. And I had a hard time figuring out what kind of greeting to put on top of here. I decided to kind of go with the theme and add these let it snow sentiment, but this one is from the occasional labels. This stamp set was a free gift with purchase during Mama Elephant's birthday month. It will be available after the first of the year for purchase. On the inside of the card, I went ahead and stamped another sentiment from the Peaceful Wishes stamp set. Thanks for joining me today for this dimensional inlay greeting card featuring the Mama Elephant So Many Snowmen stamps and dies. The supplies I used to create my cards are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. Here are a couple more videos featuring Mama Elephant stamps and dies that you might be interested in. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.